10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to EM Publishing's July monthly update. So you'll notice it's just me here this month, so not very exciting for you, I'm afraid. But do not fear, because instead of just looking at me the whole time, I do have some fancy background music in for us to hang out and enjoy, and also visual aids and exciting things like that. So what I'm going to be doing, my name's Jessica, I'm the business manager at EM Publishing, and I'm just going to talk you through for the next hour what we're up to at EM Publishing and all the things that are going on. As it is just little old me here this week, I don't have anyone to chat to, so please do ask me a question in the chat if you have a question about anything we're doing, just so I can have someone to talk to more than anything. Just to introduce ourselves, as I say, my name is Jessica. I'm the business manager at EN Publishing. And if you're not familiar with who we are, we have a range of things we do. So EN Publishing is our publishing branch. So we make tabletop RPGs such as Level Up and The Awfully Cheerful Engine and What's Old is New, amongst many other things. We also have EN World, which is our news site and forums. So if you ever looked up, some rulings or something on 5th edition or a different tabletop RPG, you may have come across our forums there. And then we also have EN Live, which is where I'm broadcasting to you on right now. So EN Live is our media branch. So we do lots of different things on there. We do actual plays, we do news, we do podcasts, we do all sorts of things. And I'm going to talk you through now all the details and things that we do to introduce you to us if you've not heard of us before. And also later on in the show, I'm going to be talking about Level Up Advanced 5th edition and our upcoming plans for that. So if you're a backer of the campaign, I have some details there for you and some news on some upcoming projects and things that we're doing with that. So I'm going to jump straight in with it. Again, as I said, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat, let me know. But otherwise, I'll just keep on talking because we've got so much exciting stuff going on. I'm very excited to share it with you. So the first thing, I'm a bit small in the corner. I'm going to pop myself up to the side. Ooh, moved up in the world. So the first thing I want to talk about, as I mentioned at EN Live, we are making lots of shows, lots of actual play things. And we've noticed that in the community, there's lots of people making Level Up Advanced 5th edition actual plays, which is awesome to see because we love seeing people using the system, playing the game and having fun and telling stories. And so we want to do something to kind of give back to the community. So we started up a sponsorship program. So what this means is that if you are running now or planning to in the future run a Level Up Advanced 5th edition campaign, you're live streaming it, and that could be a podcast, that could be like a live stream on Twitch or wherever, we want to sponsor you to do that. So what sponsorship means, what do you get for the sponsorship? So first of all, there's money, because obviously who doesn't need that? So what we do is we'd give you $400 towards your stream, and you could spend that on, I don't know, paying the cast or buying better equipment, whatever you want. It's your money, you decide what to do with it. We also would give you promotion of the stream on EN Live on our content calendar, on EN World news site. And just generally, with what we're doing at EM Publishing, we'd be kind of promoting so people can see your stream. And we'll also give you some official Level Up A5E assets to use in your stream to make it look a little bit jazzy and official. So if that's something you're interested in doing, the best site to visit for that, you can see just on the side there is enliverpg.com/sponsorship. And we're taking applications at the moment for streams that are going to be taking place in the winter. So if you're planning on running a campaign that's going to be running October, November, or December, we're looking for people to sponsor running campaigns during that time. And we pick 3 people every quarter to sponsor for that. So the requirements for applying, basically you need to be planning to use the Level Up Advanced 5th edition system for your actual campaign. You need to commit to stream at least 6 campaigns during the quarter you're applying for. And you need to have some existing actual play content for us to view. Now, it doesn't have to be Level Up. So maybe you're doing, you did a D&D 5th edition campaign before, and you're thinking of moving to Level Up. That's absolutely fine. In your application, you can send us links to your actual play stuff you've done for a different setting. Not a problem at all. But we just need to have something so we can kind of see what you're like as streamers or a podcast, like send us what it's like to listen to, just so we can check it out. And have a look at what it is. And the other thing we need, is for you to have the GM and players details for the application ready. So you need to be able to tell us who's going to be running the game, who's going to be playing in it, so we can have a look and see who everyone is. We don't need you to have a minimum following. We don't need you to have, X number of followers or people listening to that. We're more than happy to support up and coming people coming along. So if you're wanting sponsorship for your actual play campaign, if you listen to that on there. We have someone here. What if I like level up Advanced 5th Edition, but I want to play a science fiction game instead of fantasy? Well, yes, we actually do. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about the future Level Up Advanced 5th Edition lines that we have coming up. Thank you for that lovely plug there, Daryl. But I will be talking about that. But Level Up Advanced 5th Edition is traditionally a fantasy setting, but if you have an actual play campaign that's using a sci-fi setting, you could certainly do that, and we may have some products that I'll be telling you about over the next hour that you may find interesting. Speaking of campaigns, we've actually sponsored 3 campaigns already for this quarter, and you can check them out. They're all kind of running at the moment. So we have Tabletop Time Roleplay, which are on YouTube, and they've just had 4 episodes out already that you can catch up on, which is Ragtag. It's like a bit comical, kind of satirical, tongue-in-cheek take on traditional tabletop RPGs. They run every week. They've got really great kind of production value on their show. Really enjoy that. So we're one of the streams we sponsored for this quarter. We also have Misfits Which Fits, which is here on Twitch for Took, I Guess. It's a heist actual play campaign, and the characters are level 12 Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. So there's a lot going on with those characters. So if you want to see what Level Up Advanced 5th Edition is like, higher level play, that's a good campaign to check out. That runs on Tuesdays at 3:30 Central Time, for those in the US Central Time. If you're not in the US, you'll have to translate it to somewhere else. And also, if you like actual play campaigns but you speak Portuguese and you prefer to listen to your content in that, because why wouldn't you? Hey Just Akira on Twitch is running as a Brazilian Portuguese campaign that's been running for a really long time. They were using 5th edition, but they've recently transferred to Level Up Advanced 5th edition. And they're playing that on there. And that's a really great stream that runs on Thursday. So that'll be today. And that's 8 p.m. the time BRT. So if you wanted to listen to that. So as you can see, the people we're looking to sponsor, we're really looking for a range of people. So if you run an actual play campaign, like a podcast or a stream, we'd love to have your application. Or we'd just love to hear about, if you just tag us with Level Up 5e, we'd love to just see it, because we love seeing people play the games that we make. So that's kind of our sponsorship we're doing with EN Live. And we have a nice translation here for what Central Time is in Eastern Mountain Pacific and British. But what if they're in the Philippines? There's too many time zones. I can't translate them all for you. You need to do that on your own time. So what are we doing? So now I'm going to talk you into what we're doing at EN Live as well. Just a little summary in case you're unfamiliar with the content we do on our channels. So on Mondays, every Monday, we do Not D&D, which we live stream every Monday. But we also have a podcast. You can catch it whenever you like. And that is the show where we talk about tabletop RPGs that are not Dungeons and Dragons. So every Monday, I interview somebody who's far more interesting than me to talk about their tabletop RPG. So we spend an hour in depth talking about a different game. So that's what we do on Mondays. Having a little drink, because being here talking my own is quite a lot. I don't know how these live streams that do it all the time manage. Anyway, on Tuesdays on EN Live, we have Campaign Tuesdays. And we usually run, a level up campaign every Tuesday that we have. But many people, if you're familiar with the channel, you'll know that we're doing reruns of Season 1 of the Starcross Seaway. And you may have been intrigued to know that starting on August 2nd, the Starcross Seaway will be returning. I'm very excited for, and I have a little something to share with you, a little promo video, so you can take a look and see what's coming up next month for the Starcross Seaway. Change is coming to the Moonveld Sea. A new power has been released into the world, and a band of unlikely heroes have formed a crew. Rejoin the crew of the Sea Lettuce for Season 2 of the Star-Crossed Seaway on August 2nd. So that is the Star-Crossed Seaway, which is returning. So it'll be every Tuesday, and that will be wherever you're watching. So maybe on Twitch, EM Publishing, or on our other social channels in EM Publishing RPG. That will be out there on Tuesday, starting August 2nd. So Season 2 will be back. If you have not caught up on Season 1 and you're intrigued, you can listen to the podcast and listen and catch up and listen to all eight episodes of Season 1. And that's on enrpg.podbean.com. So you can listen to that while you catch up, or just listen to it again. Or if you would like to watch the live streams, all of the episodes are archived on the website enliverpg.com, so you can watch them. And also all this month on Twitch, we've been rerunning Season 1, so you can catch up ready. So we have the finale of Season 1 next week on Tuesday, and then the week after we're into August, and so the new season will begin. So very excited about the cast of Star-Crossed Seaway coming along and coming back. It's all the same cast and crew there. So if you enjoyed Season 1, it's going to be more of the same. I'm very excited to work with those people again. But if actual plays you think one a week is not enough, do not worry. On the first Thursday of the month, we do a one-shot using the Awfully Cheerful Engine, which is an action comedy RPG we make at EN Publishing. And we have different cast and crew coming each month to do that. And next month is very exciting because they're doing the Strange Science version of the RPG. So if you're into kind of Stranger Things and things like that, this might be a one shot for you to come and have a look at, and that will be on the first Thursday of the month, so that'll be August 4th. It's first week of August. A lot of actual play content coming for you from EN Live. Also, every Friday we do This Week in Tabletop RPG, which basically I talk very quickly and try and summarize the week's tabletop RPG news in less than 3 minutes. And that is available as a video, so that'll be live streamed wherever you're watching it here. It's also archived on enliverpg.com, and there's a podcast of it, which you can look up at weekinttrpg.podbean.com, or just like Week in TTRPG wherever you listen to podcasts. And also, last but by no means least, the longest running show we have is Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG Talk, which is such a long podcast name. But yes, and so myself, Russ, and Peter every week do about an hour, and we dive into the week's tabletop RPG news and talk about it in more depth. So if on Fridays you hear a little bit of the news and you're like, that's interesting, I want to hear more, we'll discuss it in more detail there. But of course, if you prefer to read your news, you can always just check out the enworld.org site, where it's all written, and you've got the articles there for you. So that's kind of what we're doing at EN Live for the next month, and I understand that's a lot of information I've given to you right now. So if you want to go and check and see a summary of it, or ever look up what's going on and the different times, you can go to enliverpg.com, and we have a schedule there, and we have a calendar that looks like this. On the site, it's an interactive calendar, so if you hover over it, it'll give you more details and times and information of what's going on, so you can check that out there. Woo! Okay, it's a lot of me talking. I definitely need more guests because I'm getting dehydrated doing this. But I'm not done, because this is just a tiny portion of what we do. Because if you remember the first slide I showed you, we've got 3 parts of the business. We have EN Live, EN Publishing, and EN World. That's just me talking about what we're doing at EN Live. So at EN Publishing, what are we doing? Well, right now, as I speak, we have a Kickstarter running. And we do these quick starters every month. And they're for D&D 5th edition, so they are therefore compatible with Level Up Advanced 5th edition as well. Until Death Do Us Part is really great. It's a really fun one that I like, so I curated this one. So you've got 4 adventures here, and a plug-in event. And the idea is that this is going to be used in a long-term campaign, because the 4 different adventures run from level 2 to level 9, so it's quite a wide range. And these stories, what I really like about them is they're all kind of about emotion, or and it's a bit more thinky. It's not simply just we run into the cave and we kill a monster. There's some thought put into these adventures, and there's kind of so it's not quite an obvious solution. So if you've got players that are wanting to do a little bit more role play and think a little bit more about kind of the decisions they're making in the game, this is really nice. And a lot of the adventures have reoccurring characters that drop in throughout an adventure. So maybe when they're level 3, they meet this character and have a little bit of an interaction a moment, and then at level 4 they come back and a bit more of the story unfolds. So the idea is that these stories will unfold from level 2 to level 9, so it'll just drop into your campaign as really nice little accents and features in there. So I really enjoyed kind of collecting these together. So it's a 35-page softcover. And like I said, it's got the 4 adventures, and it's got things like there's a village suffering from a magical summer of love. So they're all kind of dreamy and falling in love and under some sort of spell sort of thing. And then you've got this charismatic vagabond who's it's called Bastard's Revenge. So this adventurer has spent his life going around kind of with the ladies, and now he's got a whole host of children that have grown up that are coming to seek revenge on him being absent, which is really fun. And then we have an infatuated spirit of winter. So we have this kind of winter fae spirit who falls in love with one of your party members, which sounds nice, but actually can cause a lot of problems. So if you look up on Kickstarter now, Till Death Do Us Part, it's just £7 Great British pounds, less than $10 if you're American, for the PDF. And we fulfill the PDF instantly the moment the Kickstarter ends. And that's ending in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, you will have it. And when I say instantly, I literally sit by the computer waiting for it to end, and then I send you out the PDF, so you get it straight away. The softcover books take a few weeks longer because we need to get your money from Kickstarter and place the order with the printers and send it to you in the post. But usually they're with you within like 3 to 4 weeks of the campaign ending. So you will likely, you'll get these kind of in August time for the books for them. And also, in addition to that, we have 17 other softcover books from our Kickstarter campaigns, because we've run 17 of these. And so you can pick up them as add-ons, or we've got bundles. And this is the last one we're going to do for a little while. So if you're interested in picking up any of these books that we make, you can take a look on there. And the Kickstarters are the best value that you can get. Like we have a bundle for 5 of the PDFs for $27, for example, or the PDF bundle, 10 of them is just 50 pounds, even pounds, not dollars. So you can take a look on there as well. We also have a retailer pledge level, so if you want your friendly local gaming store to pick some up, so you can purchase from them, send them the details on there. And also the link has been put in the chat, so you can see that there. So it's Kickstarter.com, projects EN World, Till Death Do Us Part, or just look up Till Death Do Us Part on Kickstarter, and you can have a look and see it on there. So that's kind of what we're working on with our Kickstarters, and we have another big Kickstarter planned, which is why this will be the last of one of our Kickstarters for a few months, because we have something very big and exciting coming, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. So these are the other, we have 17 other different books that are similar to this that we've made. These are all for D&D 5th edition. That's what they're designed for, but because of that, because they're D&D 5th edition, they are therefore compatible with Level Up Advanced 5th edition as well. So whichever system you use, these books will be good for you for that. And speaking of Level Up Advanced 5th edition, so if you're a Kickstarter backer, we have been doing fulfillment for the last few months, and fulfillment is kind of coming to an end now. We sent out all of the Zeitgeist books have left our warehouse for North America. If you've pre-ordered the Zeitgeist book off our website, they are starting to go out now because we have finished the Kickstarter fulfillment. It's we're pretty much all done with the Kickstarter fulfillment now for Level Up Advanced 5th edition. This was such a great game. And it's such a great campaign, so it's really great that we have them out and they're in people's hands now. If you are a backer, we have about 100 people who haven't given us their address, and that means I cannot send you your books because my psychic powers are not good, so I don't know where you live. So if you want to message me and tell me where you live, I will send you your book if you're a backer. So if you're a backer of Level Up Advanced 5th edition, you haven't received your books, now you haven't received an email from a warehouse saying about it, please do send us an email on Kickstarter, and we can take a look at that for you. It might just be that you didn't complete your address on BackerKit, but if we get your address, we'll send it to you now, so no need to miss out. So that's kind of Level Up fulfillment is well underway and going well there. Also, we have made a new product, which we're excited about. This is the Combat Maneuvers card deck. If you're familiar with Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, you'll know that we've added this new feature, which is Combat Maneuvers. So you know how, like, spellcasters, they have all this range of different cool stuff that they can do, and so they sit there before a session, like, pick out their cards and what spells they're using, and you can really curate a character that way and make them quite different based on which spells you pick. But for melee characters and kind of fighting characters, we felt that there wasn't as much of that. It's just kind of like, oh, you're a rogue, so you stab it with your dagger. Okay, fun. So combat maneuvers are ways you can specialize in combat and do special kind of tricks and abilities and different things you learn. And it's just the way that Level Up Advanced 5th Edition makes your character kind of more unique and, more kind of specialized in the things you want to do, and you can really spend a lot of time curating a really awesome character. But there's a lot of different combat maneuvers you can have, in the same way that spellcasters end up with lots of spells to manage and find it easier in D&D to use spellcasting decks. We've made one for Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, which is the Combat Maneuvers deck. So each card has a different combat maneuver on, it comes in a deck of cards. These are available for pre-order right now on empublishingrpg.com, so you can pre-order them. They are on the boat right now, making their way to the US warehouse. So if you pre-order them in the US, you should get the cards in August. We'll of course email you with the specific date once they're at the warehouse. And if you are in the UK or Europe, once they get to the US, we're then going to move them on to our UK warehouse, so you will likely get them in September time. So you can pre-order them now, and also it may be that they're potentially add-on options for an upcoming campaign that we're doing. If anyone can guess what that might be, I'll just tell you now. Why not? Okay, so very exciting. So this is the big news. This is the thing we're kind of building up and prepping for at EM Publishing. So because we've just we finished the fulfillment for the Level Up campaign. That's kind of tidied away. That's kind of sorted now. But next book we're making is the Dungeon Delver's Guide, which I'm so excited for. So this is our next big Kickstarter, and this will be launching on August 30th. That's the date we're planning for. So that's next month. That's just over a month away. So it's very excited. So that's why we're not going to be doing any Kickstarter campaigns for a while, because we're going to start focusing on kind of marketing and managing this campaign for Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. So you might be thinking, Jess, this sounds amazing. Dungeons Delver's Guide, Paul Hughes, that amazing guy that made the Monster Menagerie for Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. Yes, the very one and same. So what the Dungeon Delver's Guide is, it's a kind of comprehensive toolkit for running and exploring dungeons. So this is a book, and it's just the one book that can be used for dungeon masters, also for players as well. So it's just the one book that has everything you need in, so there's not like separate ones for players and GMs. This is just the one book for that. It's compatible with Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, or you can just buy it as a single book for your D&D 5th Edition campaign. So it works with either. And so what it does, it's basically ways to make a really good maze, a layer, and basically for running, dungeons, things like that. But just basically tweaking them and making them leveled up, if you will. So what the book contains, it's got loads of new character options. So if you've got Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, there's new kind of doppelganger or stalker rogues. There's loads of different cool new character options and classes. There's already so much in Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. You can spend so much time creating your characters, but in this one there's even more stuff that you can get. So there's also new gear, new spells, new mounts that you can use that makes it suitable for being an underground subterranean kind of thing. Traps, tricks, and puzzles. We've got loads of things. I'm going to talk about that in more detail in a bit. There's new monsters as well. If the Monster Menagerie, that massive tome that we made for Level Up, wasn't enough for you, there's more in there. We've also got how-to guides for building satisfying underground adventures. So if you're a GM looking to create your own kind of dungeon and adventure, we've got guides for how you do that. What's a good way to navigate that? And we have a dungeon building system to build kind of unique thematic dungeons and layers, which we call the node system. So yes, in the chat, very aware of the node system, which I'll talk about that in a little bit more. I'm just giving the overview right now. And there's also a guide to the haunted cities and midnight seas of Underland. which is the setting we have in the book. So the book, to just go through it, has the first section is full of stuff for players. It's got new heritages, cultures, backgrounds, archetypes, subclasses, equipment, spells. The second section is all about designing dungeons, and there's also pre-made ones in there. So if you don't want to build your own, there's pre-made ones so you can just plug in and go, which is the kind of lazy narrator GM I would be. But you know, if you invested and talented game masters want to build your own, that's in there as well. Then the third section is full of the magic items. It's got NPCs and different monsters. The fourth section looks at the weird and wonderful kind of Underland, and then we have the appendices section at the back with all the details and information. So if you're just picking this up for your 5th edition D&D campaign, all the stuff that's linked to level up, it kind of has the information you need to know there, so it makes sense and fits into that game for you. So if you've not bought any of the level up books before, you can just buy this one on its own and use it in your D&D 5th edition campaign. That's absolutely fine, that will work. But obviously if you have level up and bought into that, this is just going to add more to your game with level up as well. So let's I'll delve into it in a little bit more detail. So what is going on with level ups? So let me have some water because I'm talking for a very long time now. So in the chat we mentioned the nodes system. So what is the node system? It's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. So this stands. So this is a system for making your dungeon, and node stands for novelties, obstacles, discoveries, escalations, and set pieces. So novelties. This is kind of the thing. Something. Every dungeon should be unique and have something cool that makes them go, oh wow! I remember the time we went to that thing. So it's just an original idea to put into your game, so introducing something kind of fantastical with it. So it could be that natural laws are kind of violated in some way, so like gravity shifts and does something weird, or it could be like it's on a grand scale, so they walk in and this cavern is just huge, or there could be weird materials or things are made for that, but anything like a novelty that makes that dungeon unique and interesting and something that your players are going to enjoy exploring. So we've got lots of them in there, so that's something we say. The O in the node system stands for obstacles. So when you're creating your dungeon, so obstacles you want to have that are non-combat challenges, so something that's blocking the way forward. So, you know, so this can help. You can use this as a game master to help direct the flow of the adventure. You can also, if you've got some more skills kind of based characters, this allows them to shine if they're not as like combat heavy. Yeah, and as a general rule in the book, we've made every obstacle allows multiple different solutions, and they could be different locks, they could be puzzles, they could be traps, which I'm going to come back to traps because I love traps in this book. But yeah, so basically all these obstacles have multiple ways to get around them. So what we didn't want the obstacles to be is just like a wall that blocks you moving forward with the story, because that's not fun. Like if you've got a puzzle and you don't know how to solve it as a player and you're just sat there going, well, I don't know, and it just stalls the game, that's not fun. So that's kind of, we've got a range of different obstacles for people to overcome with lots of different ways to kind of do that. So the D in the node system stands for discoveries. So discoveries, well, I talked about obstacles before. Obstacles and discoveries, they kind of go hand in hand. So discoveries are things that are going to help you overcome obstacles in the dungeons. So that could be like you find a key, or social interactions, the things you do, things you do to kind of overcome that. So that's kind of things. The E in the node system stands for escalations. So this is something that heightens the drama in the dungeon. So, advancing a clock that drives tension in it. So a really common escalation is an encounter with a hostile creature. So maybe you come across a lake and there's like an evil sea serpent in. You can use non-combat events to escalate tension and adventure as well. But yeah, so these kind of escalation points are things that we have in the system that helps out with that. And the S in the node system is also set pieces. So the set pieces, how do I explain set pieces? Anyone in the chat that knows the node system, could have jump in. So I'm stalling now because it's just me. So it's like, so the set piece is like the climactic scene in a dungeon. So this is like the big shiny moment, and if they overcome this main set piece thing, they've overcome their goal. So this could be the big kind of battle, the big combat at the end of it, or there could be like an elite trap that they managed to solve the puzzle to, or something like that. So that's kind of what the set pieces are in that. I hope I've explained that well enough to make sense to you. If you want to read more about the node system and how that's going to work in the Dungeon Delver's Guide, we have a whole article right here, which I'll link in. And we actually have levelup5e.com, which talks all about... we have the news section that we do, which every other week we're doing a post specifically about the Dungeon Delver's Guide to give you more details and information about it. So by the time we're launching the Kickstarter next month, you'll have plenty of information. You can read up a lot about it to decide whether or not this book is for you. But I'm going to move on from talking about the node system, unless because I don't have any comments or questions in the chat. So I'm going to move on to talk about traps. So traps, I really like in the Dungeon Delver's Guide because we've done something different with them, as always with Level Up Advanced 5th edition. So traps in some D&D campaigns in a dungeon can feel a little hollow because you get this moment sometimes you walk down a corridor and you step on a thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, you've stepped on a trap, so take X amount of hit points. That's not like very interesting, and it can feel almost like a punishment for some players. So we tried to be a bit more creative with traps. So with the way, and we're going to have Paul Hughes on next month to talk about this book in more detail. So I'll get him to talk about it in more detail. But from my perspective, what I like about it is there's loads of different ways that you can overcome traps. So you have everyone, no matter what your skill are, you have a range of different possibilities from being able to spot this trap. So it's not just a perception roll. It's not just this. You have a way as a game master to give the players a sense that something's off, and you don't have to tell them the whole solution. There's loads of different ways that your players can pick up that something's not quite right. Also with the solution, once they discover the trap, there's many ways that they can overcome that. So there's lots of different skill things, because I think in D&D 5th edition sometimes it'd be like, oh, we found a trap, okay, send in the rogue, they'll fix it, cool, let's move on. But that, again, doesn't feel very satisfying. But in this, every single class will have something they can do to overcome that. And the idea is that they can try and overcome these traps in a creative sort of way. There are, all the traps have CR ratings as well. So you can so different challenge ratings. So you can pitch them for your players at the level it needs to be. There's over 100 traps. And I can hear you say, Jess, what are these 100 traps? Well, instead of me listing them all for you, I'm going to link the article here, how handy, on levelup5e.com that has all of the traps listed there for you, so you can take a look and get a flavor of the thought of so you can get a flavor of the sort of thing that we're looking at and all the different traps that you have. And we've listed them by CR rating there, so you can have a look. And some of them are listed as elite, as I mentioned earlier, which would be kind of like, could be a set piece, like a big climactic thing in your dungeon. So if you're setting up your own dungeon to do that, that could be something you use there. So I really like traps in the Dungeon Delver's Guide. I think that's such a classic thing in a dungeon crawl to have there, but I really like the approach that the Dungeon Delver's Guide has, is to just elevating it and kind of level up. And we've also had in the chat mentioned, Daryl's kindly listed, we have another article looking at some of the traps in more detail, so the link is there. But if you want to have a look at any articles on the Dungeon Delver's Guide and read them in more detail, levelup5e.com/news has lots of information that you can read there. So if you prefer reading instead of listening to me ramble, can't imagine why, you can find that there. So the other thing I want to talk to you about is Underland. So and I love this picture because when you think of an underground kind of dungeon, you imagine it being very dark, you imagine it being very dingy, but the Underland isn't like that. Even though it's underground and there's no sun, it's not drab. There's like mushrooms and fungus with loads of bright colors. There's like the greens are kind of algae or like phosphorescent sort of colors, or so there's this brightness and there's this glow underground as well. And also mushrooms and fungus are terrifying. So there's some really interesting that you can do there with kind of spores and lovely things like that. So the main thing about Underland, there's two kind of key things when we're writing this setting in the book, is that we wanted it to be really weird and really old. This way, sorry. So anywhere else in your world, Underland is going to be way weirder, way more alien and foreign to your players, and it's going to be so much older as well. And it has kind of like a dreamlike kind of realm feel to it. So you can see some inspiration from Lewis Carroll's Wonderland as in there as well. So this is kind of this place, and it's going to be full of like kind of ancient mysteries and things for your players to uncover and explore, but also lots of dangers as well. So there's also, I mentioned, fungus is terrifying. Has anyone played The Last of Us? Yeah. So there's a fungal zombie kingdom called the Court of Spores in this place as well. So if you're a fan of that may be something you want to have a look at. And these are kind of NPCs, and there's also some monsters in there as well, and things you're going to fight. So there's like kind of these fungal zombies in there that kind of steal the corpse of creatures throughout the Underland so they can bring them back to their queen. And it's so yes, that's kind of what that is there. And then we also have the Midnight Sea that's setting in here. So there's like kind of this underground kind of sea river, and so there's no stars ahead, so you can't navigate by constellations. But yeah, so it's slightly creepy and different, but it's a really interesting kind of setting. And I think in incorporating these areas in your kind of dungeon delver, kind of dungeon crawl, would be something really different, because I think most players expect it to be dark, drab caves, but having something like this with like fantastic colors and spores and fungus, I think makes it something really different. Really different and really interesting. And as I said, the Dungeon Delver's Guide is coming to Kickstarter on the 30th of August next month. So we'd love it if you could check that out. You can read more about it at levelup5e.com. So check that out. There's loads of news articles there. And we're going to be doing more as the kind of weeks go on. Also, this I'm doing the EM Publishing Monthly Live Update, and we do this on the third Thursday of every month. So the next one will be on Thursday, the 18th of August, and we're having Paul Hughes, who's kind of the lead writer and developer of the book. They will be coming on to chat to us about the book in more detail. So if you want to hear more about the Dungeon Delver's Guide, if you give us a follow wherever you're watching this, because we'll broadcast this there on the 18th. And as I mentioned, we have loads of other stuff we're doing as well earlier on. Loads of other things kind of happening at EM Publishing. So that's kind of brought me up to the end of the news hour here. That's kind of all the kind of information I had to give you for what we've been up to at EM Publishing. So as I mentioned before, it would be so great if you could check out EM Publishing's kind of Kickstarter campaign Till Death Do Us Part, which is running now and for the next 2 weeks, and that's just £7, less than $10, and you'll instantly get the book for that. And if you're interested in learning more about the Dungeon Delver's Guide, if you go to levelup5e.com, there's all the information there, and you can subscribe to the email list so you can get updates on that. But as I'm coming near to the end of the hour, I think that's all the information I have to give you. So thank you very much for joining me, so it's not just me talking to myself, which has been very nice. But we'll be back next month as well on the 18th, so you can hear more about it. If you have any questions between now and then, please do get in touch with us. There's EM Publishing RPG is where we are on social media. Our website enliverpg.com for any media stuff, enworld.org for any news related items, and empublishingrpg.com for our web store. Any details you need there. So that's all for me. So thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you next month.